Hi, I'm Tinny from Mini Bowl Design, and today I'm going to talk some more about my proto that I showed you yesterday. The problem is that the flame, when it comes up underneath the pot, it's hitting the pot and coming out and hitting on this ring. Now that's superheating this ring. I mean, really hot. And then all these legs transfer the heat back down to the base, and the base gets hot. I mean, this whole stove gets so hot that you can't even begin to touch it. It's probably getting up to, well, I'm just going to guess 160 at least. And that in turn is preheating the stove and causing it to, the alcohol to expand, and which gives me more flame, and blah, 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 and it's just not the way to go. So, what I'm going to do is, for my next act, is I'm going to put less of these legs in. Instead of 9, I'm going to put in probably 4. I'm going to lose this top ring. What I'm going to do is, theoretically, and I'm not sure this will work, is have these legs come up, and once I get up high enough for clearance enough for the flame, have the legs come up and come over and come back up again. And just underneath the bend, put a small thin ring made out of the same material that these legs will go right through. And that'll steady it, and then the legs will, just the aluminum legs, just the 1/8" aluminum leg, will come up in 4 places, come up and grab the pot in 4 places, and steady it. And that'll really lighten this whole thing up a lot, and give a lot less contact area, and a lot less transfer area for the heat to travel back down again. So that'll probably solve the heat problem. Then, as I did in this one, I milled it out, turned it out, and I pressed a grate oven bottom right into it for a bottom. I'm going to do that again, and then I'm going to make this a little deeper, and I'm going to press another grate oven bottom into the top of this, so I have a closed chamber between the two of them. I'm going to put a piece of carbon felt in before I press it in, and that'll give me a big chamber full of carbon felt. I'm going to have a hole in the top and put this in the hole in the sheet aluminum. So I'll have, I don't know, probably 15 minutes of fuel, and this module will be gone, which is hard to build. And that should pretty much make it quite a bit easier to build. Should make it run a lot cooler, and make it feasible to sell in the store maybe someday if things work out here. I don't want to commit to that yet. So that's where I'm at. And I think that will work. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. And I'm sure once I do it and then try it, I'll see the error of my ways and have to rebuild it again. You all know that these protos go 6, 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 before I get one that's good. But that's what I'm going to do with that. So let me move the camera back, and then I'll beat my gum some more. Okay, so that's where I am with this. There's a couple other things here. One other thing I wanted to tell you about. I got an email, and I get a lot of these. Surprisingly, I get a lot of emails like this. Actually, it was a comment on YouTube, I believe. You don't have a bushcraft knife, you don't have a folding saw, and you don't have an axe. So, how can you backpack without that stuff? The way I do it is, I never build a fire. I have no use for a fire. I have an alcohol stove I cook my meals on. If I'm cold, I have high quality synthetic clothes. I'll put on a sweatshirt, a windbreaker, and if it's really cold, I'll slide into my sleeping bag, prop myself up against the corner of the shelter or wherever else I am, and listen to the animals, listen to the, whatever's going on that night. If it's a warm summer night, you might hear crickets or bullfrogs. Watch the stars, just enjoy the world around me, and have a quiet conversation with my friends. And that replaces the campfire, which I have nothing against campfires. They're really nice, but when I leave that spot, I always look behind me, and if you can see where I was there, something's out of place, or there's a big footprint in the mud, or hopefully never, there's a big spot in the middle where somebody built a big fire and there's a big charred spot in the middle and limbs all around that didn't get burnt. I don't like to see that type of situation. When I leave, I like to look back and have it look like I was never there. So when the next person comes along, they don't have to pick up my refuge and work around what I left. I really like to leave no imprint whatsoever that I was there, and that's what I usually, or almost always, or always strive to do. So I really don't have any use for an axe, or a saw, or a bushcrafter's knife. Now I have one other thought. I've watched Ray Mears, which I have the utmost respect for. This guy, of all the people I've seen do survival things, he's the real deal. But here's the problem I have. He'll do a video where he's out in the Maine woods and he's doing a survival scenario where he's going to have to be out for 3 or 4 days. And he makes a statement right up front that in this environment, an axe is the equal to a machete if you're in the rainforest. You really can't get by without one. You really need an axe in the Maine woods to get your firewood and build a shelter and all that. So my question is, unless I plan on getting lost, if I actually get in a situation where I'm in a light plane that crashes, or I wander off into the woods and get lost, or whatever the scenario may be, I wouldn't have an axe, would I? I don't think so. I think if I took an axe with me, it would be pretty much because I knew I was going to get lost. So in lieu of planning on getting lost, I don't think I'd have an axe. The other thing is, somebody said, well, you want to carry an axe because you may not have your sleeping bag and everything. You may get separated from your pack. Now, okay, unless a pterodactyl swoops down and grabs it off my back, I don't think so. But say I was on the edge of a cliff, 50 miles to nowhere, and my pack fell off a cliff. Okay, so in that situation, where would my folding saw and my bushcraft knife and my axe be? Would I have those all hooked to my belt, or would they be in the pack? I'm thinking they'd be in the pack because I just don't picture myself carrying an axe on my belt. But, that's just me, that's just my 2 cents. But I am getting a little tired of getting the comments about the axe and the saw and the knife and the fire starting kit. And here's my second point. I see all this stuff on how to start fires, and every one of them, you either have to have a big knife to do a lot of whittling with, or you have to have a flint and steel, or a big hunting knife and a magnesium block or something. If I wanted to make absolutely sure that I'd be able to start a fire if I did happen to get lost, or if I wandered the woods, I always carry a Bic lighter with me, And a lot of people say, well, what good is it? Well, you can only light about 200 or 300 fires with a Bic lighter, and it's not a sure thing. It could get wet, but if you use a little brain power and blow on it and put it in your pocket, it'll dry out and you'll be all right. Whereas if I'm starting a fire with sticks, for me, unless I practice and stuff, that's definitely not a sure thing. I'm way better off with a wet Bic lighter than I am with a stick thing. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents. I just vent a little bit because I get so much of this stuff that sooner or later I snap. So, I'm Tinny from Rebuild Design. Get out and hike. Take a friend. Take a fire source with you. Cook some really great meals out on the trail. Support the cult. Click on them videos. And more important than anything, have a great day. Bye-bye.